今天的单元主角来自香港的一神，他本身是一名大提琴家，也是新加坡杨秀桃音乐学院的主管。他不只常跟国际级的音乐家合作举办活动，最近也组成了管弦乐女子3人组。今天在节目上让他聊聊在新加坡一路走来是如何成功的在艺术领域建立 network， 还有跨文化的沟通技巧。Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管与沟通力的 Podcast。I'm Sherry, an educator, certified coach, and style enthusiast. 我相信专业有效的沟通是语言跟逻辑的完美结合。
And I'm Nick, a startup consultant, corporate trainer, and late-night gaming junkie. I believe great communication requires the right mindset and solid frameworks.
我们希望带给大家职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。
Join us each week as we share our experience, research, and methodologies to take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Executive Plus podcast. Today, we're bringing you an interview that, at least for us, is a bit outside of the box in terms of the normal industries or jobs that we cover and the people we talk to. But I think that with this guest, we're uncovering a treasure trove of communication and different social tips and techniques that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And the special part of this is it's actually a college friend of Sherry who is here visiting us in Taiwan and was kind enough to spend an hour chatting with us.
没错，医生他其实昨天才从香港飞来台湾，然后我就很开心把他带来我们的录音室，然后邀请他来录制这个 podcast。那医生他其实我认识他非常久了，他也是一个很成功的音乐家，尤其是呢他对于这种音乐还有 management、event planning 他是非常有经验的，所以今天非常高兴邀请他来到我们的 podcast 当中。So welcome, Ishan.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Nick, for the invitation. It's exciting to be here. It's my first time doing a podcast.
Well, hopefully not the last.
Well, I certainly am nervous at the moment.
Yeah, so could you please briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ishan. I am born and bred in Hong Kong and now residing in Singapore. Sherry has mentioned earlier, we're college friends in the States. Currently pursuing MBA at the University of Manchester. And I have about maybe 17 years working as music administrator. So I'm currently working as the head of the programming and production team at the Yong Siu To Conservatory of Music in the National University of Singapore.
I've also heard that you are a music teacher on top of doing all of these things. So you're working all of these different roles. Is there anything particularly that excites you or stands out in all the different jobs that you have?
Well, I would say all aspects excites me because the multiple hats, just you meet different people. As a teacher, you meet students, you meet parents. As a music administrator, you meet artists, you meet donors, sponsors. And then as a musician, you meet other fellow musicians and you meet different other artists. So for example, if you play in a multimedia project where you don't just meet musicians, but you also meet with visual artists or digital artists or designers. So yeah, I think all roles have sort of given me a multifaceted view or types of people that I meet.
It also sounds like collaboration is a big piece of everything you do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love collaborating with people. I love playing in orchestras because I feel that the joy of putting music together as a team, it's priceless. As a music administrator, a successful event cannot be done without collaboration with your team, with artists, making sure everything runs smoothly. So I think collaboration, it's something that's definitely there for me.
What did you study?
Music.
In college?
Music. I double degreed in music education and cello performance.
Was that always a passion of yours, or that was just something where...
Yeah, I think so. It's more of, I realize I'm good at nothing else. Then I'm like, I didn't have a choice. Okay, I'll do music. I mean, it's something that I played the piano since I was 5, and then picked up the cello when I was 12, which is slightly later. But then I realized my passion is in cello performance. So,
like, did you always want it to be just a performer, or did you actually want to become?
Oh, yeah, I guess at one point I wanted to study arts administration because there is this major at some college. And I got admitted to Carnegie Mellon to do that, but they didn't offer a full scholarship, so I just didn't. And then I just realized, if it's art administration, I can probably get the same sort of experience through on-the-job training, which I did, which I'm still doing. So that works.
Okay.
So it's good that I have that, and then I still enjoy my performance side of things. So that's a good balance.
What was the journey like getting to having a very full career in music? I mean, there's always the trope of the starving artist, the starving musician, but it sounds as like you found a very successful path into both sides. You're getting to scratch your itch on the performance side, but then also building quite a comprehensive career. Was that a pretty straightforward journey? That's what you wanted to do? Or that was just like kind of got there somehow, some way?
I think I was quite lucky because I think in Asia or in Hong Kong, because basically after I graduated, I moved back to Hong Kong. And then the first job that was offered to me, it allows me to do both administration and performance. Then since then, I have always been doing, as a cellist, and I was doing some pop concerts, symphony stuff, band. And then at the same time, during the day, I get training through managing an orchestra or managing an event. So I have that opportunity right from the start to explore both sides, and I realized I don't need to choose. I can actually just have both sides of the world.
Does that feel like you just kind of get the best of both worlds? Or are there days where you're like, I just want to be a performer? Or other days where you're like, no more stage for me?
There will be times where you feel fatigue because you're actually doing 2 jobs at the same time, right? So your working hour is actually much longer than a normal 9-to-5 job. But because I love my job so much, like I'm passionate about what I do, it's fine. Like it's fine to just do both because you're just enjoying it. It's not like a tedious job where, oh my God, I just need to drag myself to work again. Yeah, that's never a day like that because managing stuff can be tedious. Yes, administration can be tiring for some people. But for me, it's also a challenge because through my day job, I get to meet different people. That's the challenge, right? People of different cultural background, different artists, different vendors. And the challenge is actually the fun part of it.
So I only have bits and pieces of what you do. Could you give like a more comprehensive overview of you have like 3 different roles or 3 different jobs?
It's not easy to be a musician, right? you gotta wear multiple hats. I have a full-time job at the National University of Singapore, and there's a Conservatory of Music. And I'm the head of the program and productions team for over 10 years. Before that, I have been working in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong Sinfonietta. That's under like programming department as well, where I plan concerts and program with the music director. And then on the side, I also perform as a freelance musician with orchestras and bands. And then my third hat is actually to teach. I don't have a lot of students, but I do have like a little small studio where I teach kids from 5 all the way to adults at 60.
That's a really big range.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but it's also really fun to teach kids and adults. They are so different.
You talk about wearing all these different hats. I'd be curious, when you're switching roles, do you find that you're just switching like thought mode, or do you actually like have to switch the way you talk to different people? If I am in director mode, I need to operate this way. If I'm in teaching mode, I operate this way. Or do you feel that it's just like the way you operate flows cleanly between all of them?
I don't think I am very conscious like whether my hat actually changed. But I think in general, I'm aware of who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to my boss, that's one tone. If I'm talking to my team, that's another tone. As a musician, talking to another musician, that's another tone. Because I think I'm aware of who the other party is. And I think for me, it comes quite naturally. that you know that if you talk to this person, let's say a fellow musician, then it will be more of a peer-to-peer sort of thing. Whereas if I'm talking to a team member, then it has to be more of task-oriented. Okay, we have to complete this. So what do we need to do? Let's discuss this. So there's a lot more of that sort of awareness.
So now that you have worked both in Hong Kong and Singapore, what do you like most about working in Singapore?
Singaporeans are, because of the education, the way they are brought up, you get things done much faster in Singapore because it's a very typical sort of people give you instruction and you just do it sort of work culture. Where they're not used to a discussion. They're not used to what are your thoughts. They are used to here is the instruction. And I've been trying to change that because I feel that the sort of top-down management is passé. And in order to get the buy-in of my team, I feel that it needs to have sort of, okay, how do you feel about it? What do you think works and what do you think didn't work? And if there's this discussion going on, that's a sort of communication already, between the team. And then you get the buy-in, and then they will be more motivated to work effectively or make the concert a successful event, for example. So yes, I think Singaporeans, they are generally really great to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So just when it comes to like the efficiency or getting something done, they're very effective. But would it be fair to say is there's a cultural flip where when you have a more hierarchical based culture, yeah, you have certain efficiency, but when you want to have more of a discussion or a brainstorm on how to do it together, then you get met with silence quite a bit? Or is it just like, oh, whatever you want, we'll do that?
So in my situation, I think I'm okay because I run a very small team. To get their buy-in or to sort of just wanting to encourage them to speak up, it's easier because right from the start, I promote a sort of a flatter culture where, yes, I am sort of the head of the department, but there should always be discussion and everyone comes to a consensus of what's best for the team. And because it's such a small team, getting their buy-in is not that hard. Because I think at the end of the day, as long as it makes sense to them, then it would work.
Do you have any examples of either like a before, after, or a time where you kind of felt like, okay, they get it. They're speaking up or they're working with me on this. Are there any recent instances, putting together an event or doing something where you kind of had a moment of like, oh, okay, good. This is more team related than me top downing this.
Just about 2 weeks ago, we hosted the Singapore International Violin Competition. And it's like a big international event where we normally would engage external PR company to just run the thing, because it's so massive. But this year, we decided to just do it in-house, which meaning my whole team suddenly needs to take charge of that. And when they were so used to just relying on the PR company, suddenly they realized, okay, this is us. This is now, we need to take ownership. And we run such a small team. Everyone needs to have their sort of input rather than me giving them instruction, you do this, you do this, you do this. But within the team, they realized that that's running such a huge event would give them such a big, sense of achievement. And once they get the idea, the empowerment kicks in. And suddenly they would come up with ideas. Oh, I think in terms of marketing, we should do this in the social media because it's more effective. And then for the technical team, because it's such a big international competition, let's broadcast this internationally. So one of my manager actually approached the biggest TV broadcast company in Paris and brought them in, and they live streamed the whole thing. And like people in Europe finally heard of our competition. Yeah, and then in terms of ticketing, okay, how do we sell the tickets? Because now it's ours. So because that generate income, right? And also exposure. So then they will come up with things like, okay, let's do this advertisement here because this is where most classical audience would go to in terms of website or bus stop posters. Or so they would actually come up with ideas, bring it to the table. We will discuss about it. Of course, then there is always a budget concern. Then we said, okay, this is workable because this is effective and it doesn't cost a bomb. And then it stays within budget. And then everything just comes together. And they know exactly what they should do within their scope and how that can enhance the whole success of the event.
Wow. That sounds really amazing. I mean, speaking of these large scale international events, I mean, could you just give our audience a little bit of like sense or context as to how big is this?
Okay, so the competition itself has 30 basically people from all over can apply, and the candidates are from all over the world. So we have shortlisted 30 candidates, and the standard of these competitions are very, very high. This is our third edition, and the first prize winner basically get like $50,000 winning.
Wow. That's significant.
And then you have all the performance contracts with different orchestra, which we will arrange for them. So basically, it's a contract to kickstart your soloist career.
Wow. Amazing. But when it comes to communication, okay, having to deal with so many different people from completely different background, what has been like the biggest challenge so far for you?
I think the challenge would be to identify, because no individual is exactly the same, right? So I think to really suss out what this other personality is, and to engage the other person in an appropriate manner. It's the challenge, because you meet, with so many people from different cultural background, different work experience. You sort of need to be culturally aware of how they are. And when they say something, it might mean different things. A person saying one sentence, a remark, who is a Japanese, might mean very differently if the same sentence was spoken by an American. Then these are the things that you need to be aware of and react to it.
I'd say both in Singapore and Hong Kong, you've placed yourself in the middle of a cultural melting pot. And as you just brought up, you may have the same conversation with two different people and have two different underlying meanings, even though it sounds relatively similar. Is that something growing up in Hong Kong you were just felt is very natural? Or was that something throughout your career you really had to take to heart and learn certain lessons even the hard way?
I think in Hong Kong it's less multiracial just because of the demographic of the city. But I think going to the States helped, because that 4 years you see a sort of, you meet a diverse group of people, and then you hang out with different Americans, and then Taiwanese, Koreans, Japanese, Singaporeans. They are all similar, but they have their underlying differences. And I think I was quite lucky I didn't learn things the hard way, like I didn't offend anyone. But there are things that you can say or you shouldn't say, and you just need to be very aware of it. And then when I moved to Singapore, then the multiracial, like you said, it's a melting pot. Then you meet with other nationalities or races like Indians, Malay, and then Singaporean, Malaysian. So they are all quite different as well, even though that they all live in the same city, but they are culturally very different. And I think the awareness just needs to be constantly there when you talk to different people.
Does it help by dating different kind of people from
for
different
sure.
backgrounds?
Oh, for sure. Oh, you always need to be open-minded, in that area, just to explore a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a really good suggestion for our listeners.
And to you too, Sherry.
When we were chatting earlier, you brought up a difficult audience. Could you explain a little bit what you mean by a difficult audience, and then specifically how you handle communicating or, say, dealing with this?
There are all sorts of audiences in different setting, and we have had an audience where he kicked up the fuss during the intermission because he's complaining about how noisy the kid is sitting next to it, because it's disruptive. But he does not understand that it's a children's concert.
Oh my God.
So it's not meant to be like those quiet concert where you sit down for 1 hour. Like it's not going to happen when it's a children's concert, right? What are you going to do? So you basically need to listen. What are they really upset about, right? Oh, you're talking about the kids, da da da. But then you try to make them understand, well, but this is a concert where people, like kids from 3 years old and onwards, they can all come, and then with family. And then through the conversation, you realize they are not truly upset about the kid. They were upset about something else. They had a bad day. Like his kid couldn't come because of some last minute changes. And he's upset about that. And then, but he sort of just channeled that frustration to something else. And in situations like that, you just need to just sort of stay calm and just listen out. And basically after he just vented everything is all right. Then he, so a lot of times it's really just listen out and don't judge. Just stay calm at all times. Give respect. And if the person is not being reasonable, then you need to set boundaries. You can't just go overboard. People always said customers are always right, but they are always right within reasons. There should always be a boundary from our side to make sure they don't go overboard.
Through all the different things that you've discussed and just chatting with you, you seem very comfortable in social situations and potentially talking to anyone.
I think Sherry would know. Back in college, I don't really talk that much. In fact, I think during college, there was a period of time where I just stopped interacting with people because I was so fearful of a social setting. Like if I know that I need to attend this thing where I know absolutely no one, or I enter the hall and realize I don't know anyone, I would just walk out. This is too stressful for me. It is really through on-the-job training that get me out of that comfort zone. And I need to force myself to do that. And I'm still forcing myself to do that at times, like where there's social setting or because of work-related event you have to go, then you just, okay, I should do this. And because I think music circle is also really small, so once you go to the first, second, and third one, you will start knowing or recognizing familiar faces. And then you start sort of, hey, we met last time.
Oh, so there's that connection, right?
Then you just sort of expand that so that in a similar situation, you can spot a familiar face and you'll be like, I'm going to go there and talk to that person.
Would you say that, and this might be stereotyping, but musicians as a whole are more sociable or easier to approach, or do they tend to be a little, say, more introverted or conservative?
I think there are different types of people. I wouldn't say it's occupation specific, but if you want to stereotype artists, they can be quite eccentric. So I'm not quite sure whether sociable is the right word. If you hit a topic that they are genuinely interested in, they were just nonstop. But otherwise, it can just be like a very dry conversation.
I think eccentric, that's a really good word and a really good description. Actually, I know a lot of people, I would call them very eccentric. But then again, like when you talked about how finding that commonality and just hit from that, like go for that, that commonality. Because like if you talk to someone who's very eccentric, let's say, but you kind of figured out that, oh, maybe this person likes certain thing or certain topic, then you can really find that connection from there, right? Yeah, so I think that's really interesting.
Oh, by the way, drinking always helps. In a social setting, a drink or two should help you relax a little.
Yeah, just having a drink in your hand, right? And that's like a good conversation opener as well.
Yep.
那在这个访谈当中，我们就讲到了医生他可能在一些社交的场合啊，他是怎么样能够去 strike up a conversation， 在职场上面是如何对一些比较困难 or difficult situation 或者是比较 difficult audience 是怎么样应对的，还有呢，他在这个职场上面是怎么样来 manage 他以他这个 leadership role。所以我觉得今天呢，我们在这个访谈当中呢，其实已经讲到了非常多不同的，尤其是他在这个 music industry 是怎么样去看待这个沟通力。So we're so happy to have you here today on your vacation to talk about what it's like to be in a music industry, what it's like to manage in the music industry. And thank you so much for all these amazing tips.
Well, thank you. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for your time. If people are interested in learning more about the Singapore classical music or symphonic scene, is there any particular resources or anywhere you would recommend they look?
You can definitely come to the Yong Siu To Conservatory website. Our concerts, we have over 250 concerts a year, and most of them are free.
So there's no excuse to go get a wonderful art and music
That's
education.
Right. Please come visit.
We'll have the link in our show notes so you guys can go and click on that and visit the website.
If you like this interview and you would like to know more or would like us to pull Ishan back during her next vacation, let us know on social media, either Executive Plus Facebook or Communication R&D Instagram. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
The Executive Plus podcast is a Presentality Group production, produced and hosted by Sherry Fang and Nick Howard. You can search us on Facebook, 主管英文 Executive Plus. You can also find us on Instagram, Communication R&D, and email us at sherry@epstyleplus.com.